Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're new on this channel, then subscribe and press the bell notification icon for more gameplays, reviews and updates. Phantom Covert Ops. Phantom Covert Ops is a virtual reality first-person shooter video game, developed by Ndreams, and released on June 25, 2020, for Oculus Rift and Oculus Quest. The premise of Phantom Covert Ops is somewhat silly. You're an elite covert operative infiltrating a military base in Russia, in the early part of the 1990s. Attempting to sneak in to discover just what an ex-Soviet rogue player is up to, you soon discover that a threat is not only credible, but also imminent. Weapons of horrific consequences are about to be unleashed on the world. So, you've got no choice but to push in further, and put a stop to it all without being seen. After deploying into hostile wetlands, and making your way into the massive compound, you'll then need to complete a series of increasingly difficult objectives, as you attempt to sabotage enemies' operations, and stop General Nikolai Zhurov, a disgraced former Soviet bent on turning the tides of the Cold War, from launching a deadly attack. Phantom Covert Ops takes place entirely from the seat of your tactical kayak. In order to navigate your way through the massive complex, you'll use your touch controllers to row your way through a series of narrow waterways. The VR kayak feels incredibly real, allowing you to lean left or right to change direction, rudder steer, power turn, and push off solid objects with your oars. Along the way you will be presented with variety of obstacles, from enemy guards and patrol boats, to night vision security cameras and trained snipers, as well as choppers. Of course, not everything will go according to your plan, and you soon find yourself cut off from your team and surrounded by enemy forces. It's then up to you to stealthily navigate around enemies, using a series of sprawling waterways, and re-establish communication with your team. From the surface, the concept seems entirely bizarre, but on first hearing about this title, there was a feeling that it could be something special, something VR hasn't really seen before. On first glance, the limitation of being in a kayak may seem at odds with being stealthy, but on contrary, you can glide across the water, making very little noise at all, whilst scoping out the situation in front of you. Throughout the game's campaign, you'll find yourself paddling through shadowy spillways, distracting guards, and destroying key objectives. There are lots of helicopters flying around you, and the game requires you to hide from them by going into bushes. The story is nothing you haven't heard before: a bad guy who's just evil, and wants to hurt some good guys, and it's your job to stop him. It's a classic and cliché story, since we all know how it is going to end, but in between the start and the end of the story, there are lots of twists that will make you super impressed. The core gameplay involves following objective markers along a quite linear path, which will sometimes be blocked by guards at the water's edge. Stealth tends to be the best option, because when the bullets start flying you're mostly a sitting like duck in the kayak. Luckily you can slip under docks and into reeds, to stay concealed, and occasionally you'll need to dodge a flashlight or security camera, as you slide from one hiding spot to the next. As you paddle around, you can pull out your night vision goggles, with the click of a trigger, that will mark any guards and interactive objects in the area. Unfortunately, there isn't a particularly large variety of objects. There are things that distract guards like an air canister, generators which can be disabled to turn off lights, and explosive barrels. These are your tools for dealing with guards, boats, and security cameras that watch the water's edge. If you do get spotted, you have a brief moment to take down the guard that spotted you, otherwise they'll alert the other guards like a wave. As for tackling objectives, you'll be regularly asked to slip underneath structures, like satellite dishes, to disable them, and occasionally, you'll use explosive charges to blow up other objectives. It can be a truly heart-racing experience at times, as you come up on a collection of enemies, whilst you're gliding your way into a section of tall reeds to keep you hidden. Do you take the entirely silent route and wait for them to pass, or do you go all out and blast your way through them? Maybe set off some environmental triggers to distract them as you sneak by. The options are yours to choose, and whichever you do choose, you'd best make sure that you execute it well, as you're scored at the end of each mission based on how well you do, adding a certain amount of challenge aspect. While Phantom Covert Ops starts out strong with solid mechanics and interactions, the mechanics and the ensuing scenarios fade pretty quickly. It didn't take long before the gameplay felt formulae. I would enter a new area, mark everything in the vicinity with my night vision goggles, and then either slip past the guards undetected or create some small distraction, and then go along my way. If I was feeling bored, I'd just drop a lone guard with my silenced pistol or sniper rifle. There was little sense of planning and executing, resource management, or overall strategy. I was happy to see when the game finally introduced mines and security cameras, the sort of things that pushed the challenge and intrigue up a notch by requiring me to make more deliberate moves, but unfortunately, that's pretty much where the game pushes its difficulty. As far as the weapons goes, in Phantom Covert Ops, the protagonist is armed with a sniper rifle, SMG, pistol and some other goodies like your night vision goggles. Weapon handling also feels quite good. The weapon models are reasonably high quality, and the game applies a smoothing effect to the movement of your hands, depending upon how heavy the weapon is. That prevents weapons from wiggling unrealistically, and provides a sense of virtual weight. The core interaction and locomotion design of Phantom Covert Ops is inherently quite immersive. Being in the kayak, and paddling your way along the water, feels really good. The way that weapons and gadgets are attached to your kayak around you, and right within arm's reach, makes for a perfectly intuitive inventory system that's always right where you expect it to be. Beyond the campaign mode, which took me around 4 hours to complete, there's also free play mode and challenges. Free play allows you to replay any level to try to improve your score, which is determined by factors like how many times you've been spotted, and you get to select your own loadout from equipment that you unlock throughout the campaign. Challenges are mini-games that grade you based on time or score, and they're actually worth a spin. Though they only take a minute or two each, they're fun little extras like racing through a series of gates to score the best time, a range of pop-up targets to test your marksmanship, or a challenge to kill all guards along a path. Each challenge has leaderboards, so you can see just how well you match up against everyone else. By completing missions with a high enough rating, you unlock additional challenges, maps and game modifiers, which can be used in the main campaign. This includes additional kayaks, more powerful weapons, and other customizations. You'll also unlock a series of challenge maps, each of which featuring a different obstacle to overcome. One challenge tasks you with eliminating certain number of enemies in a specific amount of time, another requires you to navigate around narrow waterways teeming with water mines. These challenges, while simple, are an excellent complement to the linear campaign, adding some much-needed replayability to the experience. When it comes to gameplay, Ndreams has continually said, Phantom Covert Ops gives you the option to choose either stealth mode or direct action. In reality, it's all about being as silent and sneaky as possible, if you want to achieve the highest rankings and unlock all the extras. There are 7 core missions which will grade you at the end, with a maximum S ranking, unlocking different missions in the challenge mode. Naturally, there are plenty of ways to achieve this, which is another of Phantom Covert Ops' strong points. The game's visual design are passable, because the whole game is in dark with little to no lighting, so there's often the same feeling you get every time you go anywhere in the game, as it looks exactly the same. I found the game's lighting to be often confusing, both visually and mechanically. In many cases, light seems to emanate from no source in particular, and then there were places that seemed perfectly bright but I could easily go undetected right in front of a guard while waving at them. I also really enjoyed breaking the locks on the gates, as well as running through small tunnels and sewages, and train wrecks. The graphics of this game really shines, and animations didn't disappoint me. The game was well optimized and the FPS never dropped down, at least not while I was shooting and sneaking past enemies. Sound in Covert Ops is somewhat good, but not the best. The immersion with the VR headset paired with good headphones feel like you are right inside the game, ready to dive in, and shoot some bad people. My only real complaints with Phantom Covert Ops are around how dark it is. I get that it's night, but it's super hard to see your surroundings sometimes. I'm also not a big fan of the AI enemies, who follow quite strict routines, and will investigate noises more often, limiting the player's independence. Since this is virtual reality game, I must talk something about comfort. I'm very happy that the studio has added an incremental turn or hard turn option, which causes the kayak to snap turn when you press the button. Although the motion doesn't feel as natural and smooth than the normal turn, it gave me little of nausea every time. If you spend a lot of time in the game, make sure you are still sitting on a chair before you remove your headset, because you would feel dizzy in real world, more than any other game you've ever played. While Phantom Covert Ops has some strong gameplay ideas, it doesn't manage to get them to synergize particularly well. The gameplay sandbox isn't quite dynamic enough to support the kind of thrilling scenarios that you'd expect from a great stealth action game. But given the thing that it was made for virtual reality, it excels among other rivals in the VR gaming industry. Phantom Covert Ops offers a decent slice of immersive VR gaming that will be well suited to most gamers. The main campaign is a little short, especially as the levels are repeated, and the core gameplay does lack depth for more experienced players. Nonetheless, Phantom Covert Ops is entertaining, and there's enough to keep you invested for a good few hours. Also, virtual reality is the future of gaming, and the games right now available are very limited in numbers, so criticizing this game anymore would only disbenefit VR gamers. So that concludes my review on this game, and I must say, I really enjoyed spending time in VR, which I don't do very often. Thank you for watching, and if you're new on this channel, then please make sure to subscribe and press the bell notification icon to get notification as soon as I drop a video. Keep visiting my channel for more gameplays, reviews and updates.